Don't forget, we tell you every day that you must, under all circumstances, be here every day that the great Alema Harrington joins the show to grace us with his awesomeness. And we always start the segment with something incredibly awkward like colonoscopies. Alema Harrington. Alema, dude.
I'm at that age, man. So I know
50.
all about the colonoscopy.
Guess what I did this morning?
Oh, good for you.
Had a colonoscopy.
Yes. You had probably the
Zero
best
polyps.
nap, the best nap that you've had in a long time.
Dude, you ain't even kidding. Like that, they put that thing in your arm and it's like,
we out.
Gone.
Yeah, over.
Yes.
Over. But the best news is, like I said, zero polyps, totally healthy.
Good.
Everything's great.
Congratulations.
You know.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's exactly how I wanted to start the segment, to congratulate you on your colonoscopy.
I love it. Well, hey, let me ask you real quick a BYU question.
Yeah.
Was independence, I don't know if successful is the right word. What is your view on the way that BYU handled independence?
I thought they did it brilliantly because, I remember the press conference for the Pac-12 with the University of Utah, and BYU had to make a counter at that point. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to stay in the Mountain West Conference? You know, what's going to happen? And it's complicated because are you going to bring all of your sports over to one place, or is everybody going independent, which would have been very difficult? And basketball and the rest of the sports needed a place to go. So I thought that Tom Homo handled it beautifully in that regard, because you couldn't just allow the Utes to go to the Pac-12 and then you don't do anything. You have to counter with something. And there's not a whole lot of options out there. And the other options were to stay in the Mountain West Conference, or are you going to go and try to find another conference? And certainly it wasn't going to, you would love to be in the Pac-12 with the Utes, but that was never going to happen. And then because of their relationship, which was built over many years, right? The first ESPN college football game ever broadcast live on ESPN was BYU versus Pitt my freshman year at Brigham Young. So this relationship had been developed over many, many years. And because they had that, they were able to negotiate a great deal television-wise without a conference. And very few people are able to do that, maybe, and nobody else outside of BYU and Notre Dame. And this whole idea, like BYU can be like Notre Dame. Nobody can be like Notre Dame. That's unrealistic. But what they did with independence, I thought, was brilliant. And it was the stepping stone necessary because it kept them relevant in their independence to be able to get the offer from the Big 12 when it was time.
But do you want to see, and you're, as an alum, I think you're particularly qualified to answer this question. Do you want BYU and Utah every year? Because I hear so many people say, I don't want that, or we don't need that game. Or I think it's critically important to the football in this state, which is no longer a well-kept secret. I mean, there's, frankly, the population explosion here has changed that. But I think BYU and Utah, no matter what the vitriol is, I think it's really good for our communities. And I think it's a game that needs to be played every year.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I know that there's people out there that, you know, and there was times when Utah was the one that was singing that tune, so to speak, where it's like, well, we're the big brothers now. We don't need the University of Utah BYU rivalry game. That was one of the greatest rivalries, I think, in college football was BYU versus Utah. And the biggest loss, I think, for both teams when Utah went to the Pac-12 was that you lost that every year, especially when you had gotten to a point where every year was being played in November, usually one of the last games of the season. And in that whole, you know, the rivalry world of college football, that was one of the greats. So I personally think that you do everything in your power to be able to schedule that game every year. Not like, oh, okay, we're going to take a couple of years off. We'll come back to it. It's not gone forever. I think it needs to be a part of your schedule on a yearly basis because it's good for, I think, the rivalry within the state in a healthy way. And at the same time, those rivalries have been lost with all of the restructuring of these different conferences, be it the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever, that you've lost some of these rivalries. And I think that has done damage to college football as an overall product. And it's always better, in my opinion, if they're able to play that rivalry game and they're in the same conference. Like Utah comes to the Big 12 or whatever the case may be. I'm not against that. I think that would be a really welcome addition, because instead of trying to create this rivalry in the Pac-12, oh, Utah and Colorado, man, the big rivalry game is coming up. Nobody's thinking that. Nobody's buying that, right? Sure, it's a regional rivalry and whatever, just because of the geographic location of Utah and Colorado. But nobody's looking at that and saying, man, I can't stand those Buffaloes. And, I can't wait for the rivalry game for us to beat them down. Like, it's not something that you can really sell, because it's not there. You want to keep those natural, whether it's Oregon State, all of the natural rivalries that have history. You want to keep those.
Yep, totally agree. Alema Harrington, trydaytrading.com, $10 Alema to change the rest of your life. Tell me about Tri-Day Trading. What's a 30-day trial membership for $10 look like?
Well, the beauty of it is that you're able to get access to all of the resources available. Because sometimes, people are asking you, well, sign up for this program, but you don't really know what it's about. At Tri-Day Trading, you're able to, spend that $10, and we've talked about this before. It's not going into the pockets of Tri-Day Trading. That is always a charitable donation. So you make that $10 commitment, and you help some, charity out in the process, and you also get access to all the resources available at Tri-Day Trading. And they want you to be able to see what is going on. Like, this is what you can get, because so many of us are looking at our financial futures, and I'm watching the TV and watching what's going on in France, and there's like, now we have to work till we get to this point until we get our pensions, and we're all dealing with that type of anxiety, things that are totally out of our control. And so what I'm looking for is like, what can I do that's within my control? And Tri-Day Trading is one of the answers for that, because you can get into that and you can start to do some things that can help you earn money, and do it on your own terms, on your own time. And now you're having some control over your financial future. And if you were, heaven forbid, to lose a job or something happened in the financial markets, actually with Tri-Day Trading, if you're day trading and you're doing, whether it's dollars or pounds or the euro, you can look at the volatility that goes on in that marketplace and get in and out and make deals, whether you're buying or selling. It doesn't matter whether people that are long-term in the stock market are having heartburn because of what's going on. If you're a day trader and you're working with Tri-Day Trading and you're using the proprietary software to figure things out and make your trades, man, you're in good shape. You're in a good place. And that's what I love about it. And all it is $10. $10 gets you 30 days. And we joke about it all the time. If you can't figure it out in 30 days, then there's a problem right there.
That's exactly right. TryDayTrading.com. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Alema's word for it. It's a 30-day membership for $10. That's a charitable donation, a tax write-off at your education. That's a tax write-off. Work for yourself at TryDayTrading.com. Alema, we've talked a lot about Jordan Clarkson on this show. He said something today, or yesterday actually, that was pretty shocking to me. In that he said it would be nothing for him and his crew to pick up and start somewhere new. Yeah. You hear him say that. The Jazz committed to him at the deadline. Is it surprising to you that he would say something like that? And do you believe that Jordan Clarkson's on this team next year?
You and I, we've been around for a long time. We've covered the NBA for a long time. I've been covering the Jazz since 1996 and watching guys come and go and watching guys make comments at this time of the year, right? At the exit interview, or what we used to call it, locker clean out. And guys make comments, and nothing surprises me about the comments that come out of somebody's mouth at this point in the season. And it could be something that happened earlier in the day for a Jordan Clarkson, and then somebody puts a microphone in front of him and asks him a question, and it's like, And so much of it has to do with what was the context of the conversation. And for somebody to say, hey, it's no biggie for me and my crew, we're going to pick up. And Jordan Clarkson's just bought a $7 million mansion in San Antonio, which is where he's from. Like I understand that. I'm still confident that the Jazz want to have Jordan Clarkson here. And that doesn't mean that there aren't other suitors out there, because there are, because he's still early in his career. He's young, and he's had the best year of his career this past season with the Utah Jazz. So I understand that there are going to be other people coming after him. And you always look at those comments and you wonder, well, is that a negotiating tactic? Because he wants to make sure that whoever offers him the most money, he's trying to get that number up. And you can't blame him for that. And then in the end, it's going to be up to the Jazz. Okay, can we match that number? Can we meet what his demands are financially? And then because of his experience here, it's like, Jordan, you established yourself here. The community absolutely loves you, and you can stay here for the foreseeable future, and we'll sign you to the longest contract we possibly can. I just look at comments like that, and I think this is the time of the year that you get comments like that. And we're all probably a little sensitive because we think about the comments that came from, from the last season and Donovan Mitchell. And it was pretty clear that the writing was on the wall. I don't see this in the same light as what Donovan Mitchell was saying. I think Jordan Clarkson is a little bit in a different category as a guy that I still think wants to be here. He's enjoyed his time here. And I think that certainly he's going to have options, but the Utah Jazz are going to be one of those options in the process.
And I think he's a really, you said something there about the community. I think there's a lot that goes into that word community with Jordan Clarkson. He's an international superstar. I mean, I can tell you, if we talk about Jordan Clarkson on this show, we get a ton of views globally, mainly from the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
So he's a huge celebrity internationally. But I think he's been really good for this community because he's not a problem off the court. He's not a guy, and I think I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell guy, but he seemed to be a lightning rod. Jordan Clarkson's not. I actually believe he's the face of this team. I think one of the important questions is, how important is he to the future of this team, Alema? And I know this is going to sound crazy. I don't think he's make or break. And I think the economics in this league with this new CBA, somebody's going to throw a 4-year deal at him. Somebody's going to pay him. Like, can you imagine the Jazz cutting him a $22 million check every year? That seems hard for me to believe.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And this is nothing against Jordan Clarkson as a player or as a person. That, when you say that he's not a make or break guy for Utah Jazz and the future of this franchise, now he would be an absolutely, a coveted piece that you would want to have. And at the same time, you look at how he has flourished in the system, and it's been nice for him to be able to make the move from a 6th man of the year 3 years ago to now having the best numbers of his career as a starter for the Utah Jazz. And you hope that that's valuable to him. And at the same time, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to come with the long-term contract, longest, available in the CBA. And, $22 million. How do you say no to that when you're coming from like 13, 14? Right. And they're going to improve that by $8 million. We got to understand as viewers, as Jazz Nation, as fans, that these guys have to make financial decisions that are going to be in the best interest of their family and that future. At the same time, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes as far as the negotiation process is concerned. I'm confident that between Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck and Ryan Smith and D Wade, that they will do everything they can to be able to try to entice him to stay. That might not work. And if it doesn't, then I'm with you. Okay, it's not like you wring your hands as like, oh, the franchise is done. But I think you make a really interesting comment when you say that he's the face of this franchise. I would agree with you on that. And that takes nothing away from the all-star Lauri Markkanen. But Jordan Clarkson, if you're looking to market and you're trying to put something on a billboard, Lauri Markkanen is going to be impressive too. But JC has that je ne sais quoi, that intangible, right, that people are drawn to. And so if you can keep that, then by all means, do everything you can to keep it.
Speaking of je ne sais quoi, let me ask you about Andy Larson from the Salt Lake Tribune. It's an awkward transition, but it's all I had. He gave one singular vote to Skywalker Kessler for Rookie of the Year. Everybody else voted for Banchero. Is Walker Kessler more deserving of the Rookie of the Year award than Banchero in Orlando?
So the things that are working against you if you're Walker Kessler, right? Number one, that you are a lower draft pick. Number two, that you're not playing in the Eastern Conference. Number three, that Banchero has been the talk of the town, or as far as this award is concerned, from the jump. And so Walker Kessler, who didn't start until midway through the beginning part of the season, which is an odd, way to describe it, midway through the beginning, but he didn't start right out of the gate, where Banchero has been the centerpiece of the rebuild that's going on in Orlando. So for Walker Kessler, I understand that we look at Walker Kessler, we get a chance to see him all the time. But when you're playing in the Western Conference, and this is still true today, even though we have all of the different ways that you can view a game, still, if you're tipping off at 7 o'clock in the Mountain West and Eastern time is already, 2 hours ahead of you, and there by the time you get to the critical part of a game in the Eastern Conference, then a lot of guys are to bed already. So that's just, it naturally works against you in the Western Conference in that regard. Now, I don't think it's any disrespect, and I get that he's one of your beat writers and it's Andy Larson, and that's the vote that you got. But I'm more interested in how many second place votes did he get, how many third place votes did he get. This guy has put himself absolutely on the map, and Donovan Mitchell didn't win the Rookie of the Year, and Walker Kessler's not winning the Rookie of the Year. That's not the end of their careers. I mean, that wasn't the end for Donovan Mitchell, that he didn't get it and Ben got it. Like, whatever.
Why would you bring that up, Alema? Alema, that is a trigger point for
I know
Jazz.
You're a Donovan guy. I get it. I understand. But I'm giving all of us hope that even though Walker Kessler is not winning the Rookie of the Year, that doesn't, and Larry Markkinen may not win Most Improved Player of the Year. These kinds of things, as we look at them, they're really nice honors to have. It was so great when Jordan Clarkson got Sixth Man of the Year, to get a national NBA award for one of our guys. It's a beautiful thing. But in the end, it's not, to use your term, it's not make or break. Right? Walker Kessler is going to be a force in this league. He has demonstrated that. And sure, you look back, you only have one chance in one season, your rookie year, to win Rookie of the Year. But maybe it puts a chip on your shoulder, and every time you play against Banchero, maybe you block him 3 times in the game.
Yep, Alema Harrington, as always, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. $10, Alema. Hit it one more time. 30-day membership, $10 to change the rest of your life.
Hey, all of the resources available, whether that's the webinars or some individual coaching, which I love. I always shout out my guy, Jared Johnson. He's my coach. But you're going to have access to all of that, including the proprietary software, which is the secret sauce in your success. And don't forget that at Tri-Day Trading, they're going to fund your account. So that means that you're going to learn how to trade, and they're going to get you up and running. And as you get to that point, they will put money in your account. You will trade using their money, and then you will keep up to 80% of the profits. Now, that's a fantastic deal in itself. And you will know that it's either for you or not for you after 30 days. And all it's going to take is $10, and it's going to be a charitable donation. $10 gets you access for 30 days to all of the resources at Tri-Day Trading. All you have to do is go to TryDayTrading.com.
Alema, always great to see you, my man. I appreciate you. Thanks for your time today. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
There you go. Alema Harrington. That's a good dude. Just listening to him talk about BYU, and I think he's right about Walker. I don't think his career is not going to be defined by the award that Ben Simmons won. Okay, I shouldn't have said that again.
Why would you do that, bro? I mean, you just trying to light it on fire.
How about Alema bringing up Ben Simmons? I thought that was amazing. But he's dead on about Walker. That Walker Kessler has shown us the ability to contribute on every level, defensively, offensively. I think his ability to rim run, because that really is, I think, one of the best things that Will Hardy did this year as a rookie coach. He just told him, rim run, dude. Get the rebound, kick it out, run to the rim. Get a dunk, get a rebound, set a pick, roll to the rack. Like, his ability to shot block with both hands, to be an ambidextrous shot blocker, I think is critically important to his development, because I think we all recognize there's growth physically, his bodybuilding, all of that exists. But I'm telling you right now, if this cat shows up with the ability to shoot a corner three, forget it. It's over. Because if they can play him at the power forward, good night. It just opens up so much. If he can be a guy on the floor with four other guys, because I don't believe anymore in this league, and I don't know if we agree on this or not, but I don't agree anymore. It's like, you're my center and you're my point guard. I think you got to have five guys who can be amoebas.
Well, yeah, I think the best teams are able to blend the positions. I mean, that's the thing. And I think, when you look at the draft coming up and you hear the Jazz are going to be in the market for guys like Grady Dick or, some of these other guys who are, 3-4 combo guys that are pliable, right? That's the word I always use. Are you pliable as a player? We know that certain players that have come through the Jazz organization, Rudy Gobert, are not pliable, and so you can't do anything with them. But we know that if a guy like Walker Kessler, who balled out in his rookie year and really showed a ton of development, if that guy can, like you said, come with a corner three, or I don't even need him to make threes. Honestly, that would be a cherry on top. I just need you to knock down the pick and pop, elbow jumper. If you can just do that, well, the Jazz are going to be cooking next year offensively. So
I love the guy. And by the way, I think this Jordan Clarkson story, and if you look at NBA circles and you look at how we've reported this story, dude, I've been telling you about this since, I don't know what, probably a month before the trade deadline.
Before the new year.
Yeah,
we were already talking about it before then.
I think when you look at the numbers that go into Jordan Clarkson as a starter versus a sixth man, I thought he did fine as a starter. That guy is a beast of a bench player on a championship contender.
Yeah.
If he was a Cav, if he was a Laker, if he was a Clipper.
Well, and that's the other side of this, right? That's the other news that came out on the heels of this Jordan Clarkson interview, was that the Lakers are rumored, allegedly, to be interested in adding him this offseason.
Well, and that's because he has really deep relationships in that organization. Jordan Clarkson and Jeannie Buss are very tight.
Yeah.
Those two like each other. And I don't know. I know that Jordan and LeBron don't have much of a playing record together, but you can easily see how Jordan fits into a LeBron team. And I think Jordan's best use is just light the fuse on that guy as a first guy off your bench and let him come in and run up and down the wings. And so it doesn't matter if he takes 3 pull-up threes on a fast break. It just doesn't matter. Because he's probably going to make one out of those 3 threes, and on a good night, he's going to make 2 out of those 3. And when he is flame on, bro, he's going to make 3 of those threes.
Yeah,
right. Like he to me, that's what his highest best use is.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, like he, not that you're wrong, but he does have 25 games where he physically played with LeBron in Cleveland, but he doesn't have hundreds of games, and I think so they got just a little bit of a taste. But I also think that. You see how well LeBron does when he has guys who can come off the bench to spell him. I mean, if they could play LeBron 34, 35 minutes a night and get a higher quality LeBron, a more potent LeBron, and then you can make up those minutes with a Jordan Clarkson, let's say, that's obviously an ideal format.
Take Dennis Schroeder off the Lakers and plug in Jordan Clarkson. Now, I think Schroeder brings a really important piece in that he can bring the ball up. But I think if you add Beasley and Clarkson on the floor with LeBron, with Austin Reeves, with Anthony Davis, you're going to be really hard-pressed to stop Anthony Davis.
I think the only thing that I worry about in that comparison is that Schroeder knows how to play within an offense. Schroeder, he's got a bunch of things that I don't love about him. He turns it over a little bit too much. Until recently, he hadn't been making the 3. Like, there are things not to like about Dennis Schroeder. But the thing you like about him on a LeBron team is that he can play within the system and he knows his role. My concern with Jordan Clarkson is that Jordan is absolutely a bucket getter. He is somebody who,
yes, he is.
Like, that's who he is. So I wonder if you're on a championship LeBron team, are you willing to go bring the ball up, hand it off, and go stand in the corner? Because that's what Schroeder does.
Little breaking Adrian Wojnarowski news. And you know, all of our breaking news on this show is presented by our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop, bbqpitstop.com. Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, our good friends in Murray on State Street across from the mall. Bam! Today and tomorrow, the grand opening in Payson, Utah. Check them out online at bbqpitstop.com. Who presents our breaking news? Adrian Wojnarowski reporting. Sean Kemp, the former superstar of the Sonics. Remember we told you he was involved in a shooting where Sean Kemp, being a 7-footer in a bright red vest, apparently was chasing down stolen goods using an AirTag, found the AirTag in a car, and got into a gunfight in a grocery store parking lot. Sean Kemp has been charged with assault in the first degree, stemming from that incident in March where he fired a handgun in a parking lot in Tacoma. His lawyer, Scotty Boatman, tells ESPN that Kemp will plead not guilty. Kemp says the incident was precipitated with him trying to recover those stolen goods, and he acted strictly in self-defense. That's a big deal. His attorney gave a statement that said Sean Kemp learned that the Pierce County Prosecutor's Office elected to file charges against him. And he's talking about taking this all the way to trial, which I think would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I said this we talked about this story, the baketress, Amber, on this show. Her husband and their friends followed their AirTag one night after a Jazz game. Remember that? Like several people told us they have done that.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it. Sean Kemp, who's a multimillionaire, former athlete, almost got murdered over the cost of an iPhone, I believe is what was stolen.
Yeah.
Over the cost of an iPhone. Dude, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and then I think you look at this news about Mikey Williams being arrested.
Oh, Jesus,
yesterday.
did you hear about that?
5 charges of assault with a deadly weapon. Like, I just, and I think all this on the heels of the Ja Morant situation, like, I think there's just a lot happening in the basketball world.
The Mikey Williams story is absolutely
brutal,
terrifying. Because you look at what happened with Mikey. He is, by the way, committed to Memphis. That's over. 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. And it's 5 counts with deadly weapon with an escalator for using a handgun. By the way, if convicted, the minimum sentence is 6 months per charge. So this guy is looking at 30 months in a California prison over this gun charge. I just don't know. I don't know how you justify this. And the hard part for me is this is what's scary in this country. Young people, old people, black people, white people, Christians and Jews, Muslims, everybody has a gun. And the scary part for me is who is saying no to Mikey Williams? Because he's no different than Ja Morant now. Mikey Williams is a multimillionaire through NIL. He's a guy that contemplated going to Europe instead of going to Memphis. And now Mikey Williams, according to the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, paid a $50,000 bond and was released at 12:15 in the morning on Friday. I mean, this is crazy. Any person who commits an assault upon another with a firearm. So he assaulted somebody with a gun. 5 people got into a car as they were driving away. Shots were fired, according to the sheriff's incident report. The car was hit, but no one was hurt.
Yeah, you know what the difference is? Ja didn't get, right? Ja hasn't been formally charged.
And Ja didn't shoot at anybody, by the way.
You know what else is crazy? Had he gone to Europe, it wouldn't be in that situation.
100%.
Well,
they do not allow almost every country. I mean, aside from a few, don't allow for you to have personal firearms like that.
Facts. Yeah, it's crazy. And again, this is a kid that's already worth multi-millions of dollars. I mean, and think about this with Brandon Miller at Alabama. This is a kid that was arguably the no doubt about it, number 2 pick. No doubt about it. And what happened? He was caught up in a murder that was involving a firearm. Now, he hasn't been charged, but he was
this close.
This close, right? So you think about it, and I go back to this Ja Morant situation. Sean Kemp, Mikey Williams, Brandon.
Yes.
It's not rare anymore. It's not, holy shit, who did what? It's like, oh, God, here we go again with guns, right? And you go back to Gilbert Arenas. You go back to all of these guys, and I just want to ask, I just want to say, like, where is Ja's dad? Because we know he's in Shannon Sharp shit, and they're fighting on the sideline at the Laker game, right? Like, we know that. Where's Mikey Williams' dad? Who's saying no to Mikey Williams? Who's saying no to Ja Morant? And again, I'll go to LeBron James, because we've talked about this.
Yep.
And I'll tell the story way back in the day when I worked at Sporting News Radio originally, and I was writing columns for Sporting News Magazine. One of my assignments was to investigate LeBron James and his mother, because he showed up at high school one day in this Hummer. That's the worst thing he's ever been accused of. Never been accused of a gun. Never been accused of being a bad dude off the court. Never been accused of crimes, domestic violence, child support, morality, none of that. Neither, you look at all of these dudes.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, whether it's Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan with his gambling, right? What were you thinking? Oh, that's right, you weren't. And you also didn't have somebody who would say, hey, Mike, we're not going to gamble on that today.
No.
Hey, Kobe, we're not going to go, let's get this blonde girl out of your hotel room. Hey, Ben Roethlisberger. And the worst thing about Ben Roethlisberger, he had dudes with him that night.
Yeah.
And Ben Roethlisberger's dudes blocked the way so that he could go and do his thing with this girl, allegedly. Like,
sometimes it doesn't matter, though.
You're right.
Enough, and it just does not matter. Why can't I think of the UFC fighter, the guy?
Dana White?
No, the Irish dude.
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor. Duh, you have a whole group of friends. Who knows? Did somebody tell you no?
No,
but
you know what Conor McGregor
did?
did?
Does not matter.
He smashed a guy in the face in a bar because a guy didn't like his whiskey.
I'm for real.
Who's telling you no? Oh, by the way, he also threw a guardrail through a bus window and almost killed some people with it. Like, I don't understand, and we're talking about this, by the way, because Sean Kemp has been charged in Tacoma, Washington, with a gun crime because he went and tried to recover a stolen iPhone and he had a gun on him. And they got into a gunfight. And I believe it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was on video that Sean Kemp was firing the gun in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think he had shot it like into the air or something. It wasn't, I don't know that it was at somebody, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he did.
It's probably, it's assault, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably fired it into the air. But still, why?
And why are you not saying no? Like, I just can't believe. And again, I wonder, the funny thing is, Fat Joe, you guys know Fat Joe the rapper.
Yeah.
So Fat Joe, in a video, and I think this is still on my Instagram, I could be wrong. Fat Joe was talking about how he had hit it big in rap, right? And he had all that bread. And he's like, one time we were on a vacation. They were on a trip. And he had private jetted all these dudes down. And he's like, I had, let's call it 12 guys with me. And I was sitting there one night, and they were all drinking, they were all eating, and they were all fucking broke. He said it just like that, very matter-of-factly. And so I decided to test them. And the next day I got them all together and I said, hey, crew, hey, guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm not that guy. I don't have that bread anymore. I'm out. 8 of the 12 guys never talked to him again. 4 of the 12 guys said, nah, dude, you're our guy. You're my dude. It doesn't matter how much money you have. I'm here with you. Those 4 guys are his 4 dudes now. He rolls with all of them. Excommunicated the other 8 guys. And I just wonder, why doesn't Ja Morant do that? Why doesn't Mikey Williams do that? And I wonder, if you're fucking Mikey Williams, dude, you can write your own ticket.
Yeah.
When you've got that gun in your hand, and I think he's 17 years old. I could be wrong.
I believe so, yeah.
You're 17 years old. You're Mikey Williams. You're a world-renowned basketball player. You have multi-millions of dollars already in NIL deal. Chris Brickley works you out for free.
He is now officially 18.
He's 8. Oh, geez. So he's an adult.
Yeah.
So you have the world right here, dude. You're going to play for Penny Hardaway at Memphis, and it's in the palm of your hand. What is it that's missing in the brain that you're like, well, here's a gun. There's a car with a bunch of dudes in it.
I just don't think they think like that, man. I don't think that kids think like that.
What are you thinking?
They don't.
They don't. There's proof that scientific proof, medical proof that your brain is not yet ready to tackle those kinds of situations.
I agree. That's a really good point. I'm always going to play the science card on this show.
Yeah.
I'm here in a supervisory capacity.
I agree, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, these kids need somebody. These kids need somebody to do for them because they can't do it.
How many of them have a no man?
No, almost none of them. Almost none of them.
I would agree. Like, you need a no man. You need somebody that's going to be like, hell no, we're not doing this, because it's really easy to make those mistakes, man. Like, that's
a huge mistake. It didn't have to happen at all. Didn't have to happen.
None of these, none of these situations had to happen. Ja Morant didn't have to happen.
Right.
By the way, I think he countersued the kid.
Yeah, he did.
He countersued the kid. He's claiming, again, from memory, he's claiming that the kid threatened to shoot up his house.
The kid, he's claiming partially that, but the heart of it is that his lawyer, Ja's lawyer, is saying the kid cost Ja Morant the ability to get a Supermax contract because Ja got suspended from the kid's allegations. So they're suing the kid because he's cost Ja.
You're going to have to prove that those allegations are false. That's all I'm saying. Wow.
Exciting in the comments?
More breaking news from our friends at Barbecue Pit Stop. Adam Schefter, ESPN.
What did Lamar Jackson do?
Cardinals Pro Bowl safety Budda Baker has demanded a trade from Arizona.
We knew this one was coming.
Wow.
Yeah, so Budda Baker, I think it was yesterday.
Yes.
Removed AZ from his Twitter bio, I believe it was. So people were speculating, and now he's out.
Budda Baker has demanded a trade from the Arizona Cardinals.
See you later.
That team is a dumpster fire, man. And I am telling you right now, Daniel Snyder's out of the NFL now. Right? He has essentially agreed to sell this team for $6.05 billion when he paid $800 million for it. I think Arizona's next because the allegations coming out against Michael Bidwell about this cheating, the verbiage he used, the insults he lobbed, the way he treats people.
You know, talking to Steve Keim on a burner phone while he's suspended.
They're saying that this is worse than what happened with Robert Sarver and the Suns. What's going on at the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Wow.
And now your best defensive player arguably has demanded a trade.
Certainly one of your best in the secondary. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I think since Chandler Jones is gone, although they have some youngs there. Okay, one of your best defensive players, Budda Baker.
Yeah.
The guy who ran down, robo receiver in Seattle.
Yeah.
Is now demanded a trade.
See ya.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
what a couple of minutes. Gary says, ain't no reset.
Yeah.
Ain't no reset.
Yeah, hang on here. Let me. I was deep in the internet here.
Ain't no reset.
That's right. Ain't no reset.
Ain't no reset.
You know what I'm saying? It's incredible. Tanner Plummer, member of the show, says, "Who's the no man in the Monty clan?" Mrs. Monty.
100%.
But I don't do stupid shit like that.
I am here in a supervisory capacity.
But seriously.